Be me Evan 33. Civil engineer, decent pay, brain full of concrete specs and quiet dread. Own a cookie cutter house in the suburbs because stability is the adult religion. Mortgage, 2 cars, 1 dog, and an HOA that loves threatening emails. Married to Sophie, 30, a little over 6 years. She works in HR-ish people ops, so she can weaponize kindness with perfect eye contact. First years were easy. Tiny apartment, cheap dinners, inside jokes that lasted longer than our furniture. She roasted my color-coded toolbox like it was a personality flaw. I roasted her habit of leaving mugs everywhere like little ceramic landmines. We'd talk for hours about nothing, and somehow it felt like everything. Sex was normal, playful, not constant but connected. Then time happened. Not a bang, more like a slow leak. Raises that never matched grocery prices. Work stress that followed you home like a stray cat. More screens, less touching. Still normal, still fixable, I told myself. We'd have a dry week and then make up for it on a lazy Sunday morning. We'd argue, then laugh, then forget why we argued. Then Sophie found discourse. She didn't find a hobby. She found an identity pipeline. It started with a podcast in the car. Then it was TikTok clips while cooking. Then it was whole evenings of her nodding at a woman on YouTube explaining why men are conditioned. Her feed turned into neon infographics about patriarchy, decentering men, and the orgasm gap. She started using new words like she was getting paid per syllable. She joined a women's circle at a yoga studio that smelled like eucalyptus and moral superiority. She'd come home glowing and say things like, "I realized I've been settling." I tried to be supportive because I'm not allergic to equality. I asked questions. I listened. I even read a couple chapters of the book she left on the table. It had good points about communication. It also had phrases that sounded like a court filing. Soon she started using those phrases on me. If I forgot oat milk, it wasn't a mistake, it was a pattern. If I asked what she meant, I was demanding emotional labor. If I disagreed, I was getting defensive. If I did chores, it was bare minimum. If I didn't, it was weaponized incompetence. Every move was either wrong or secretly wrong. I stopped joking because jokes became minimizing. I stopped debating because debate became mansplaining. It got to the point where silence felt safer than speaking. The bedroom got cold around the same time. We weren't porn stars, but we were connected. Then sex became rare. Then sex became negotiation. Then sex became a topic she would circle back to. One night I kissed her neck and she stiffened like I'd touched a hot stove. She said, "That was initiating without safety." I laughed because it sounded like a parody. She didn't laugh. She told me our intimacy had been male-coded. Yes, she said, male-coded. I sat there naked and confused, thinking I married a person, not a thesis. After that, I initiated less. Not to punish her. Because getting rejected by your own wife in new vocabulary hits different. She didn't initiate either. She just collected grievances. She'd scroll her phone and sigh like I was a disappointing employee. She started correcting the way I loaded the dishwasher again, but now it came with a lecture. She said she was tired of managing my mental load. When I fixed the leaky faucet she'd complained about for a month, she said thanks, like it was customer service. The house got quieter. Dinner became TV noise. Bedtime became two people sharing a mattress like polite strangers on a flight. That loneliness where you're not alone, so you feel guilty for feeling lonely. I tried to talk about it. I picked a calm Sunday and told her I felt disconnected. I said I missed her. I asked what she needed to feel close again. She stared at me with a calm, clinical face and said she was glad I was finally ready to do the work. She said the spark doesn't just happen, it has to be earned. The conversation went nowhere. Then the calendar invite arrived. I'm at work staring at a drainage plan when my phone buzzes. Google Calendar from Sophie. Title: Intimacy Alignment Sync. Agenda: Framework plus Expectations. Location: Living room. My stomach dropped like I missed a stair. I text her, "Is this a joke?" She replies, "I'm being intentional." Come home. Dog is happy. House smells like lavender spray. Sophie is at the table with a laptop, a legal pad, and highlighters. She has the same face she uses when she practices hard conversations for work. She smiles like she's doing me a favor. "I'm proud of you for showing up," she says, like I'm attending my own disciplinary meeting. I sit because at that point, curiosity is cheaper than fighting. She turns the laptop toward me. Google Doc, clean font, headings, bullet points, title, bedroom equity and consent charter. My brain tries to label it satire. My wife is dead serious. She starts with the speech. She says she's done with harmful dynamics. She says sex will no longer be a patriarchal script. She says she's raising her standards. She says she wants a partner, not a man-child. She says she is a feminist and she refuses to be a service provider. She says that last line while looking right at me like I'm a broken vending machine. Then she scrolls. Section 1. Baseline Equity. It's a chore checklist with boxes. Daily kitchen reset. Laundry schedule, trash, bathroom cleaning including grout. It's stuff I already do, but now it's a contract. Section 2. Emotional labor offset. Minimum 3 compliments per day. Compliments about looks count less. Compliments about her decisions count more. It literally has weighting like a video game. There's a line about no generic compliments. She gives examples of banned phrases. No, you look nice. No, you're pretty. Approved phrasing includes, I admire the way you advocate for yourself. I wish I was kidding. Section 3, Initiation Script. Yes, an actual script. It says I must ask verbally with neutral language and wait for a spoken yes. It bans guilt-based questions. It bans pressure tone. It even says I must not ask while she's in a task state. Then she reads me the sample line out loud. Would you be open to exploring intimacy tonight with consent-centered pacing? She says it like a TED Talk. I sit there thinking about how I used to just kiss her and she'd pull me closer. Section 4. Consent Protocol. This is where I feel my soul leave my body. No initiation after 9 p.m. No initiation if I have expressed stress within the last 6 hours. No initiation if you have not completed daily equity tasks. No initiation if you have not performed a check-in conversation this week. No touching breasts or genitals until stage 3. There is a stage system. Stage 1 is connection. Stage 2 is non-sexual touch. Stage 3 is sexual touch. Stage 4 is full intimacy. She says stages prevent male entitlement. She says men need structure. Then she scrolls again. Section 5, Pleasure Equity. She orgasms first, always. If she doesn't orgasm, session ends. If I orgasm, I must ask permission first. Permission to orgasm like I'm borrowing the car. It also says I must not finish too fast because that's selfish. But I must not take too long because that's labor. There is literally a time window. There's also a porn detox clause and an aftercare clause that includes verbal appreciation of my labor. And then the final boss. Final section. Access and consequences. Full intimacy may be unlocked after 7 consecutive days of full compliance. 7 days. Any missed requirement resets the progression. She looks at me like she's handing me the secret to happiness. She asks, "How do you feel?" I stare at the screen. I think about all the nights I tried to talk and got a shrug and a phone scroll. I think about how she turned affection into a punch card. And I feel something in me go calm in a scary way, because I understand it instantly. This is not about us connecting. This is about her controlling the terms and calling it empowerment. This is about making me prove myself forever. She looks at me with that smug growth smile. She's expecting bargaining, begging, promises. I nod slowly. I say, "Thanks for putting it in writing." She lights up. I say, "Clear guidelines help." She practically purrs. I say, "I'll review it." She thinks she won. That night, she tries to cuddle in bed like it's all fixed now. I roll over and say I'm tired. For the first time in months, I'm not lying. I sleep in the guest room. She doesn't stop me. Next morning, I do what I always do when I'm stressed. I get organized. I open a spreadsheet. I make a tab called Compliance. If she wants love to be a KPI, fine. I become the best employee on earth. I do every chore. I do it early. I do it perfectly. I deliver compliments on schedule. Not warm ones. Clean, sterile ones. Your time management is impressive. Your decision to buy that lamp shows strong taste. You handled that email with leadership. She smiles at first. Then she notices something's missing. My eyes, my warmth, my hunger. It's all gone. She tries to test the script on day 3. She waits until I'm washing dishes and says, "Do you want to do your stage 1 tonight?" I look at her and say, "I'm open to discussing connection, if that feels aligned." She smiles, proud, like she trained a dog to sit. We sit on the couch for the device-free window. She tells me about her day. I do the therapist responses. "That sounds hard." "Your feelings are valid." "Thank you for sharing." She leans in at the end like she expects a prize. I say, "Connection window complete." And I go back to my book. Day 5 is date night in her dock, because of course it is. I plan a dinner downtown. I choose a place she used to like. She says it needs to be women-owned. I change the reservation. We go. I pull her chair out. I pay. I do everything right. She tries to talk, but every topic turns into a test. She asks if I understand patriarchal socialization. I say I understand she feels unheard. She asks if I can name 3 ways I've benefited from being a man. I say I can name 3 ways my back hurts from hauling groceries. Bad joke. She doesn't laugh. She says I'm being dismissive. We drive home in silence. She stands in the hallway looking at me like I'm supposed to initiate. I tell her I need to get up early. She whispers, "You're not even trying." I tell her I'm trying exactly as instructed. Day 7 arrives. My spreadsheet is green across the board. Sophie is practically vibrating. After dinner, she sits close on the couch and touches my knee. She says soft, "So?" She expects me to cash in the reward. I look at her. I say, "All requirements have been met." Her face relaxes. I say, "I'm choosing not to unlock anything." Her smile drops like a glass. She says, "What?" I say, "I don't want sex I have to earn." She says, "That's not what this is." I say, "It's exactly what it is." She snaps, "So you're punishing me?" I say, "No, I'm withdrawing from a system that makes me feel repulsive." Then I go back to the guest room. That's when the power balance flips. She built a fence and expected me to climb it. I walked away from the fence entirely. Next day, she accuses me of withholding intimacy. She calls it abusive. She says I'm proving men only care about access. Access again, always access. I remind her calmly that consent applies to me too. She hates hearing her own slogans from my mouth. Week 2, she updates the doc. She adds points. Chores are points. Compliments are points. Dates are points. Points can be redeemed for intimacy opportunities. My marriage is now Dave and Buster's. I log the points. I do not redeem them. She starts trying to initiate, desperate and clumsy. She brushes my hand in the kitchen. I step away like I'm avoiding a wet countertop. She tries to kiss me. I turn my cheek. She sits next to me on the couch. I stand up and say I need to check the smoke detector batteries, which I actually do. She tries a new angle. She tells me I'm porn sick, and my brain can't handle boundaries. I haven't watched porn in weeks because I'm too tired and too sad. She tells her friend group I'm not meeting her needs. I find out because one of our mutual friends, Jenna, asks me if everything is okay. I say it's fine. Jenna says Sophie told them I'm refusing intimacy out of spite. That night, I take a photo of the doc and send it to Jenna, then immediately regret it. Jenna replies with 3 skull emojis and, "Girl, what?" Apparently, Sophie did not mention the stage system. Sophie finds out I shared it and calls me unsafe. She says I'm trying to humiliate her. I say, "You humiliated us when you turned our bed into a scoreboard." She screams that I'm gaslighting her. I tell her I'm going for a drive. Week 3, she brings in her women's circle friend, names Mara. Mara talks like a podcast. They sit at my kitchen table like a tribunal. Sophie says this is a supportive intervention. Mara says they're here to hold me accountable. I offer them cookies because I'm apparently still a human. Sophie opens her laptop and starts reading my failures. She says my compliments feel hollow. She says I'm stonewalling. She says I'm resisting growth. Mara looks at me and asks why I'm afraid of intimacy. I take a breath. I say, I'm not afraid. I say, I'm turned off by being managed. Sophie flinches like I swore at her. Mara tries to hit me with the script. She says I'm centering myself. I say, yes. I say, it's my body. Silence. Sophie didn't build her framework for a man who can say no and mean it. That night, Sophie locks the master bedroom door. I sleep fine, not happy, just calm. The next day, I book therapy for myself. Therapist is an older guy who looks tired in a professional way. I show him the doc. He scans it and says, "This is very transactional." Therapists talk for what the hell is this? He asks how it made me feel. I say I felt like my marriage died in a Google Doc. He nods like he's heard 1,000 versions of the same story. He says affection on a reward schedule kills desire. He says power games poison intimacy. He says boundaries are about your actions, not about controlling someone else's body. And I realize I've been swallowing shame that doesn't belong to me. 2 weeks later, Sophie tries to backpedal. She says the charter was too rigid. I say it was very structured. She says she deleted it. I say, okay. She waits for me to soften. I don't. One Saturday, she tries the simple move. She comes into the guest room in a t-shirt and that nervous smile. She whispers, "Can we just be normal?" My body reacts for half a second out of habit. Then my brain remembers the progress bar. I say, I'm not attracted to being audited. She looks like I slapped her. She asks if I still love her. I say I love who she used to be when she didn't talk to me like a problem to solve. She cries and says she got lost in empowerment content. For the first time, she sounds like a person, not a coach. It almost works on me. Then she says, but you still need to do the work. And the spell snaps back into place. Because I could forgive distance. I could forgive stress. I could even forgive the dead bedroom. But I can't unsee love treated like a performance review. So I do the clean thing. Quiet lawyer consultation, separate money, apartment search. I don't threaten her. I just move like someone leaving a slow fire. Then the weird twist happens. Late night, I'm doom scrolling Reddit. I see a post. Title: My husband refuses intimacy after I set boundaries. I click. It's basically Sophie's story. Same phrases, same 7-day progression, same stage system. But the comments are brutal in a normal people way. People keep saying, you can't contract someone into desire. Someone links a downloadable template. Some influencer's bedroom equity charter. I open it. It's the exact document. Same headings, same wording, same everything. My wife didn't write a charter. She bought one. And suddenly, instead of anger, I feel dark humor. My marriage didn't die from cheating. It died from a PDF. Next morning, I print the template page with the influencer logo at the bottom. I circle the logo in red and leave it on the kitchen table. Sophie walks in, sees it, and goes pale. She says, you went through my stuff. I say, it's public. She tries to defend it. She says it was a tool. I say, you used a tool to turn me into a project. She says she was trying to protect herself from being used. I say, you protected yourself until there was nothing left to share. She starts crying again, but it's different now. It's embarrassment, because her righteous framework is just copy-paste. That week, I move into a one-bedroom across town. It's small, it rattles, and it smells like fresh paint. But it's quiet in a clean way. We start divorce paperwork. No screaming, just signatures and drained voices. She sends long apology texts. She says she didn't realize she was treating me like work. She says she misses the old us. I believe she misses comfort. I don't know if she misses me. Months pass. I rebuild routines, gym, sleep, friends, silence that doesn't crush. And then the last weird punchline arrives. I'm leaving the courthouse after a boring hearing and I see Sophie outside. She's with a new guy. Nice haircut, soft cardigan, nervous eyes. She's talking to him in that calm HR tone. And I hear the sentence as I pass. If you want access, you need consistency. Same word. Access. I keep walking. But the guy turns his head and our eyes meet. There's a look in his face like he's watching himself in the future. That night, I get a DM from an unknown account. It's him. He says, sorry, were you married to Sophie? I type, yes. He sends a screenshot. The charter. Same stages, same 7-day progression, same reset rule aim, but with a new line added at the bottom. Non-compliance indicates misogynistic resistance. She upgraded the DLC. He asks, is this normal? I laugh out loud in my tiny apartment. I type, it's normal for her. He asks what I did. I type, I stopped playing. He replies, damn. Then he says, thanks. And the chat ends. No revenge montage. No dramatic speech. Just two strangers bonded by the dumbest document in suburbia. Next morning, I wake up early, make coffee, walk the dog in cold air. And for the first time in a year, I feel light. Not because I won, because I'm not trying to earn love from someone who turned it into a badge system. Sometimes the only winning move is closing the tab.